Sometimes the universe doesn't break you to punish you. It breaks you to pause you. You might not see it yet, but the silence after heartbreak, the emptiness that follows the last goodbye, the nights where you can hear your own breathing echoing in your chest, they are not meaningless. They are the quiet hands of something greater, reshaping you for a love that doesn't abandon itself to keep another. There's a strange kind of loneliness that arrives when you've done all the inner work, when you've healed, when you've grown, and still no one stays. It's the kind that whispers, maybe I'm meant to be alone forever. But what if that voice isn't your truth, just your tiredness speaking? What if the universe is still setting the table for you, rearranging the pieces of your story until they fit a life that won't fall apart at the seams? So many of us rush to fill the space with people, distractions, plans, anything to escape the ache. But the universe never rushes. It knows that real love, the kind that sees you, can't arrive while you're still afraid of your own reflection. It waits until you can sit in the stillness without needing someone to fill it. Maybe right now, you're being kept single not because you're unworthy, but because you're finally too sacred for what you used to settle for. You no longer chase chaos and call it passion. You no longer confuse attention with love. The universe is proud of that. It's giving you time to grow roots deep enough that no storm can pull you out of yourself again. So if you're here, listening to this, I want you to breathe. You're not behind. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. There's a reason your heart still beats softly for something unseen. That's your spirit remembering what it's waiting for. Something real, something aligned, something that doesn't need to be forced. Before we dive deeper into this story, if these words already stir something inside you, that small warmth that says yes, this is me, take a moment to subscribe, to stay connected, not for algorithms or numbers, but because this space is built for souls like yours, the ones who love deeply, hurt quietly, and keep hoping anyway. Let's walk together through this stillness. The universe hasn't forgotten you. It's just not done writing your chapter yet. You know, it's strange how silence can feel heavier than noise, how a quiet room can hold more memories than a crowded one. There's a point after a heartbreak, after the last unanswered message, the last maybe someday, the last piece of hope you silently let die when you sit with yourself and realize there's no one left to blame. That's where many people turn away, because silence has a way of showing you everything you've been running from, all the little ways you gave too much, all the times you accepted less, all the moments you said it's fine when it wasn't. And yet in that stillness, that vast echoing space, something begins to shift. At first, it feels cruel, like the universe has stolen your comfort, your person, your warmth. But beneath that ache, something wiser stirs. It's your soul saying, no more pretending, no more shrinking, no more half-love. You start remembering how it felt to lose yourself trying to be chosen. You see the pattern, how every relationship became a mirror, showing you the pieces you'd abandoned. Maybe it wasn't that no one loved you. Maybe it's that you kept seeking people who couldn't love the parts you refused to see in yourself. You were chasing the same story in different bodies, hoping one day someone would rewrite the ending. But the universe stepped in. It pulled the pen out of your hand and whispered, enough. Let's write a new one. And now, it's just you. The mirror, the silence, the rebuilding. This is the part no one celebrates, the middle, the in-between, where the healing doesn't look pretty, where you question everything, your worth, your choices, even your ability to love again. You see couples walking hand in hand, laughing, sharing secrets, and you wonder why that isn't you. But maybe what's being written for you requires more depth. Maybe you're not meant for the easy kind of love. Maybe you're meant for the kind that arrives once you've met yourself fully, not as the version who needed saving, but the one who already knows how to hold herself through the storm. There's power in being single, not the kind you post about online, but the quiet kind. The kind that comes from finally being able to breathe without waiting for someone to text you back. From making coffee for one and realizing it's still a sacred ritual, from going to bed knowing your peace isn't dependent on someone else's presence. The universe watches you here not as punishment but as protection. It sees you finally clearing space for something true, and until that arrives, it keeps the door closed because it refuses to let you return to what almost destroyed you. So the waiting continues not as punishment but as transformation. The loneliness becomes a cocoon, and though it hurts, it's working. It's reshaping the way you love, the way you see yourself, the way you understand what home really means. Because maybe home was never a person. Maybe it's the peace you feel when you stop chasing what isn't meant to stay. There comes a night when you stop counting the days since they left, when their name no longer feels like a bruise, when the silence in your room no longer screams, it hums, softly, patiently, almost tenderly. That's when the real healing begins. Not when you move on to someone new. Not when you fill your days with distractions, but when you finally stop running from yourself. When you can sit in that quiet and realize you don't miss them anymore. You miss who you were when you believed love could save you. And that realization, as painful as it sounds, is liberation. You see, the universe doesn't take people away to make you lonely. It takes them away to make you whole. Because you can't meet real love while you're still grieving the fantasy of what never was. You can't receive peace while you're still addicted to chaos. You can't recognize alignment while you're still clinging to lessons that were meant to end. So it strips you, gently but completely. You lose people. You lose certainty. You lose the version of yourself that thought love was something to earn. And at first, it feels like death. Like everything you believed in is gone. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, life starts to return. You begin to notice things again. The warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of your own laughter, the peace of walking home alone without the weight of someone else's indifference sitting on your chest. And that's when the universe smiles. Because you've started to see what it always wanted you to, that love isn't something outside of you waiting to choose you. It's the pulse beneath your own skin. It's the stillness that meets you when you finally stop searching. You begin to realize how much energy you used to pour into proving your worth. How often you apologized for existing too loudly or feeling too deeply. How you edited yourself to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. But not anymore. Now you speak softer, but with truth. You give less, but with presence. You love slower, but with clarity. Because what the universe is teaching you in your solitude is this: you were never too much. You were just too available for people who wanted too little. And as you learn that lesson, not just with your mind, but with your bones, something within you relaxes. The urgency fades. The ache becomes wisdom. You stop needing someone to see your worth because you finally see it yourself. And that's the moment, the quiet, ordinary, miraculous moment when you become magnetic. Not because you're chasing, but because you're at peace. And that peace, that's when love finds you. Not the kind that drains, but the kind that feels like exhaling after years of holding your breath. So if you're in that waiting season now, if the nights still ache and the mornings still feel empty, please know it's not for nothing. The universe is not delaying your love story. It's deepening your capacity to receive it. Because when it arrives, it won't feel like fireworks. It'll feel like coming home to yourself and then to someone who mirrors that peace back to you. There's a tenderness in the waiting that only time can reveal. At first, you resist it. You hate it, even. You think the universe is cruel for keeping you alone while others seem to find love with ease. You scroll through pictures of smiling couples and wonder what they have that you don't. You start to believe that maybe you missed your chance, that maybe love isn't written in your story after all. But here's the truth: the universe isn't keeping you single because you're hard to love. It's keeping you single because you've outgrown what used to feel like love. The old versions of you, the one who settled, the one who chased, the one who tolerated being misunderstood, they needed relationships to feel worthy. But you've changed. You've learned how to hold yourself in the darkness, how to speak to your pain instead of hiding it, how to choose peace over passion that burns too fast and too wild. And because of that, the universe refuses to send you anything ordinary. It's not that there's no one out there, it's that there's no one yet who can meet the frequency of your becoming. So it makes you wait. And while you wait, you build a life. You find small joys in places you never noticed before: the taste of coffee on a slow morning, the sound of rain on the window, the comfort of your own bed after a long day. You start seeing the beauty in the simplest things because you finally stopped looking for someone to make them meaningful. You become softer but stronger. You begin to trust the unfolding. You stop asking, "When will it happen for me?" and start whispering, "Whenever it's meant to, I'll be ready." That's the shift, the one that changes everything. Because the moment you stop begging the universe for love, love starts making its way toward you, quietly, steadily, like water finding its way back to the ocean. You start to notice new people, not because you're searching, but because you're finally open. You talk differently, walk differently, even breathe differently. You're no longer desperate to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And maybe someone will arrive soon, or maybe not yet. But either way, you're not waiting from lack anymore. You're waiting from fullness, from peace, from knowing that your story doesn't need another person to be whole. Because the secret is this: once you fall in love with your own life, the universe sends someone who loves you the same way, not because they complete you, but because they recognize you. So if right now you're in that sacred pause, don't fill it, don't numb it, don't rush it, let it mold you. Let it refine your taste for peace, your capacity for solitude, your relationship with yourself. Because when the universe finally opens that door, when it decides the time is right, you'll look back and realize why you had to wait. You'll see that what was once loneliness was actually divine protection. You'll see that every unanswered prayer was a reroute to something far more aligned. And when love comes, you'll meet it differently. You'll no longer grab it in fear. You'll receive it in trust. You'll no longer beg it to stay. You'll know that if it's meant for you, it will never need convincing. The universe always prepares its favorites in silence. And maybe right now, that's exactly what it's doing for you. There's a kind of beauty that only blooms after heartbreak, a quiet, grounded, almost sacred beauty. It's not the kind you show to the world, not the one you post online with a poetic caption about healing. No, this beauty lives in the small, invisible choices you make every day. The choice to wake up when you could have stayed numb. The choice to believe that love will come again even when your chest still aches. The choice to be gentle with yourself in a world that celebrates constant doing, constant giving, constant noise. Because the truth is, the universe doesn't just keep you single to prepare you for someone else. It keeps you single to reintroduce you to yourself. It takes time to unlearn the habit of self-abandonment. The way you used to silence your truth just to be accepted. The way you'd shrink so someone else could shine. The way you'd confuse pain for depth, drama for passion, loneliness for love. You're learning now that love isn't meant to feel like survival. It's meant to feel like exhale, like the gentle release after holding your breath for years. So the universe strips away what's loud, what's distracting, what's temporary, until you're left with what's real. Yourself, your stillness, your own heartbeat. And though it can feel unbearably quiet, that silence is sacred. It's the soil where your next chapter grows. It's where you start dreaming differently, no longer of chosen, but of being understood. No longer of a perfect love story, but of an honest one. One where you don't have to hide your softness to be safe. You'll begin to notice something else too. Your standards change. You no longer crave the chase, the uncertainty, the highs and lows. You crave consistency, presence. Someone whose energy feels like peace, not adrenaline. And that's when you'll understand what the universe was doing all along. It wasn't withholding love. It was detoxing you from imitation love, from the kind that drains your light while pretending to see it, from the kind that asks you to perform instead of simply be. The universe knows your heart is rare, that it beats with honesty, depth, and devotion. It knows you don't just want someone to fill the space, you want someone to share the silence, to see you not as a project, not as a prize, but as a person whole, flawed, human, divine. And for that kind of love, you have to be ready. Not just emotionally, but energetically. Because love doesn't meet you at your wanting. It meets you at your vibration. So this time alone, it's tuning you, raising your frequency, aligning your energy so that when love comes, it doesn't shake your peace, it harmonizes with it. The person meant for you won't confuse you. They won't make you doubt your intuition. They won't force you to prove your worth. They'll recognize it instantly because they'll have spent their own time in the dark preparing in the same way. And when you meet, it won't be fireworks. It'll be familiarity, the quiet knowing of two souls who've both learned to be whole before finding each other. You'll smile, not because it's perfect, but because it feels real. And in that moment, every tear, every lonely night, every unanswered question will make sense. Because the universe was never keeping you single. It was keeping you safe until you remembered who you are.